Have you ever felt like your peace, confidence, and self-worth are slowly being drained with every interaction you have with someone? The people closest to us, family, friends, are often the ones we hold dear, but sometimes they can be the ones who are most draining. In Stoic philosophy, we learn that we have control over our own minds, but not over external circumstances. In today's video, we'll explore 9 powerful signs that it might be time to cut ties, even with family or friends. Imagine having someone in your life who constantly makes you feel guilty, judged, or worthless unless you are pleasing them. As Marcus Aurelius once said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realizing this is the first step toward reclaiming your strength and peace. At times, distancing yourself from toxic relationships is not selfish. It's necessary for your self-respect. Stay with me until the end because I'll reveal a subtle yet dangerous sign that many of us overlook, and how you can free yourself from it for good. Before we begin, don't forget to hit the like button if you find value in this video. Subscribe for more insightful content, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. Let's dive into the journey of reclaiming the peace, freedom, and respect you truly deserve. 1. Avoid people who don't spend money or share resources fairly. Have you ever noticed someone who always claims to be financially tight, but seems to have plenty of money for their own personal pleasures, trips, gadgets, or dining out? This isn't about real poverty, but a lack of balance and fairness in how resources are shared. I had a friend who would always come up with an excuse not to pitch in for group trips or shared expenses, saying he couldn't afford it. However, when we met outside of these group gatherings, I'd find him spending lavishly on his hobbies and new gadgets. It dawned on me, he was prioritizing his own enjoyment over the fairness of the group dynamic. This kind of behavior shows a fundamental lack of respect for relationships. Relationships thrive on mutual care and shared responsibilities. If one person is always taking while the other is always giving, it will inevitably create a sense of imbalance, causing frustration. Stoic insight. According to Stoicism, relationships should be rooted in virtue, not external circumstances like money or material resources. If someone only sees you as a resource to exploit, they are treating you as an object, not as a person. The wise course of action is to establish boundaries or walk away from relationships that lack balance and fairness. Your resources, be it time, energy, or finances, are valuable, and they deserve to be shared with those who value you as much as you value them. 2. Avoid people who constantly argue and seek conflict. Do you feel like every conversation with someone turns into a battle? Some people have a tendency to argue about everything, no matter how small the issue. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we should seek peace and understanding, not perpetual conflict. Life is too short to spend it in endless, exhausting debates. I once had a friend who was always confident about his opinions, but whenever we had differing views, he would escalate the disagreement into a full-blown argument. On one occasion, during a casual get-together, what started as a minor difference of opinion turned into an emotional outburst where he insisted I take his side. Despite the situation not warranting such intensity, that moment was a wake-up call for me. It became clear that this kind of behavior was draining and unsustainable. Personal lesson. Arguing constantly is not a sign of strength. Rather, it is often a reflection of insecurity and a lack of emotional control. A truly wise person does not feel the need to win every argument. Instead, they seek harmony, understanding, and peace. If you find yourself in a relationship where conflict is constant and resolution is never reached, it might be time to create some distance. Protecting your emotional well-being is far more important than engaging in endless battles. 3. Avoid people who disregard your struggles. We all have personal battles to face, and the people closest to us should offer support when we're struggling. But what happens when those very people dismiss your difficulties and focus only on their own issues? It can be deeply hurtful. I had a friend who, whenever I shared the emotional strain I was experiencing while caring for a sick family member, would immediately shift the focus to his own problems. It felt as though my struggles were dismissed as unimportant, leaving me feeling unheard and unsupported. Stoic insight. Stoicism teaches us to be empathetic and to show kindness when others are in pain. True relationships are based on shared understanding, and this includes acknowledging each other's struggles. If you're always the one to listen and support but never receive empathy in return, it can feel draining. It's important to surround yourself with people who not only celebrate your successes but also offer their compassion when times are tough. Genuine relationships are rooted in mutual respect, care, and emotional reciprocity. 4. Avoid people who push their beliefs on you. In today's world, we all come from different backgrounds and hold diverse beliefs. True connection lies not in forcing our views on others, but in respecting those differences and learning from them. I had a friend who was passionate about trying to convince me that his political or religious views were the only correct ones. Every conversation with him felt more like an interrogation rather than a dialogue. Despite my attempts to share my own views, he seemed more interested in converting me to his way of thinking than having an open, meaningful exchange. I left those conversations feeling drained and frustrated. Personal insight. A wise person understands that forcing others to adopt our beliefs doesn't foster understanding. It leads to division. True wisdom lies in listening, empathizing, and respecting the viewpoints of others, even when they differ from our own. When you're in a relationship with someone who is constantly pushing their beliefs on you, it may be time to set healthy boundaries. True relationships are not about convincing someone to think the same way, but about respecting and learning from our differences. 5. Avoid people who make you feel distressed or uncomfortable. Sometimes, relationships that once brought joy may begin to feel uncomfortable or strained. When this happens, it can be a sign that you've grown in different directions, and the connection no longer serves either party. A colleague once told me about a childhood friend he had known for years. They shared countless memories growing up, but as time passed, their paths diverged. One stayed in their hometown, while the other moved to a new city. They tried to reconnect, but the conversations felt awkward and forced, as if they had outgrown each other. Eventually, they decided it was best to let go of the friendship. Stoic lesson. Stoicism teaches us that change is natural, and sometimes, the most respectful thing we can do is let go of a relationship that no longer serves us. Holding on to a connection that has outlived its purpose can stifle personal growth. Sometimes, the most freeing act is to accept that it's okay to grow apart and make space for relationships that are more aligned with who we've become. 6. Avoid people who use you as an emotional dumping ground. There's a significant difference between sharing your struggles with someone and using them as an emotional dumping ground. Healthy relationships involve mutual support, where both parties are willing to listen and offer support when needed. I once had a friend who was constantly unloading her emotional turmoil, her job, her relationship, her family, on me without ever offering anything in return. When I tried to share my own struggles, she quickly turned the conversation back to herself. It was emotionally exhausting, and I started to realize that this wasn't about seeking support. It was about using me to relieve her own emotional burden. Personal reflection. It's crucial to recognize when someone is draining your emotional energy without giving back. While it's important to be there for friends, relationships should be reciprocal. Establishing healthy boundaries and prioritizing your own well-being is essential. You deserve relationships that nurture your emotional health, not ones that constantly drain it. 7. Avoid people who break promises. A promise is more than just words. It's a bond of trust and respect. When someone repeatedly breaks their promises, it signals a lack of regard for both the commitment and the relationship itself. I had a friend who would often cancel plans at the last minute or show up late with excuses. One day, after waiting for over an hour, she texted to say, "Sorry, I totally forgot." That was the breaking point for me. I realized that if someone can't honor their commitments, it's a sign they don't truly value you or the relationship. Stoic wisdom. In Stoic philosophy, integrity and honor are essential virtues. If someone consistently fails to keep their promises, it's a sign of disrespect. Recognizing this early allows you to protect your time and energy, and avoid being taken for granted. Honor your own integrity by only investing your time in people who respect their word. 8. Avoid people who never take responsibility for their problems. Some people are never able to take responsibility for their actions. They constantly complain about their circumstances but never take action to change them. It's draining to be around individuals who perpetually blame external forces but fail to look inward and improve. A colleague of mine constantly complained about her job but never took any steps to address her dissatisfaction. She would ask for advice but never implemented any of it. It became clear that she wasn't interested in growth. She just wanted to vent without making any changes. I had to gently distance myself from her, as I realized the conversations weren't productive anymore. Personal insight: people who never take responsibility for their problems can be toxic to your growth. They often drain your energy without offering any willingness to change. Protect yourself by focusing on relationships with people who are proactive about improving their circumstances and learning from their challenges. 9. Avoid people who boast excessively. Boasting is different from sharing achievements. It's a constant attempt to validate one's own importance by comparing themselves to others. It can be exhausting to be around someone who constantly talks about their past successes, especially when they never seem to live in the present. I had a friend who would always boast about his past achievements, his success in business, his trophies, his travels, yet when asked about his current endeavors, he would deflect. It felt as if he was living in the past, and the constant boasting left me feeling disconnected and uninterested in his present life. Stoic insight: Stoicism teaches us that true value comes from living with humility, not from constantly recounting past glories. When we focus too much on our past achievements, we miss the present moment and the opportunity for further growth. Boasting often stems from insecurity, as it's a way to seek validation from others. True contentment comes from within, not from the need for external praise. In the journey of life, relationships are powerful forces that can either build us up or drain us. By recognizing the subtle yet significant signs that it's time to distance ourselves from certain people, we can reclaim our peace and self-respect. As the Stoics taught us, we have control over our own minds, and by exercising that control, we can create a life filled with meaningful connections that bring us joy, growth, and inner peace. Thank you for watching. If you've made it this far, leave a comment with the word peacefulness to show that you've completed the journey. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Stoic wisdom and valuable insights. Stay peaceful, stay strong, and I'll see you in the next video.